Welcome to day 3 from our inner childhood workshop. Today is our final day to explore a little bit more about our inner child, and we're going to look deeper into certain healing methods that can help you discover your inner child and then heal some repetitive patterns and cycles that perhaps you'd like to work through and overcome in your life. So, to start off with, I will start with the simplest of ways, in my opinion, and that's by practicing awareness. And that can be done through mindfulness and breath work. So we're starting to learn how to connect our body with our mind, and there's that physical and mental association as well as emotional that comes forth. When we're connecting to our deep breaths and physical body, it helps us move out of the stresses of the adult world and this fight or flight sympathetic arousal, so we can be more curious about the present. So now we're living more consciously, more aware, and more in the present moment. It's important when you're doing that, especially through mindful practice, that you are utilizing your five senses to check in with your body. It helps you connect if you might not have a very strong body-mind connection. This is the perfect way to start. So you can take 3 very conscious breaths, and it can help if you place one hand over the belly and one hand over the chest and start to tune in to the present moment by noticing firstly one thing you smell, then another thing that you're hearing, something that you're tasting at the moment, finally something that you're feeling. So as you settle into this, you allow your body and mind to connect into the present moment. It's a great initial practice. So you can do this anytime, truly, whenever you're feeling disconnected, to reconnect and start to bring some awareness to the present moment. So the second healing method, which I mentioned very briefly about in the last few days, is to nurture your creativity. This is truly very important because our inner child is associated with innocence and creativity and playfulness. And through creative work and expressive work, we can truly connect to our inner child. It could be through such a variety of things, such as drawing, singing, cooking, gardening, reading, writing, expressing yourself through dance, acting, writing poetry or lyrics. Basically, doing whatever comes to mind that allows you to be expressive and allowing you to connect with that inner child that's inside of you. Another healing method would be something that's not usually asked to do, but to collect something. So, because when we were children, we were obsessed with the world, right? Everything is new, everything's exciting, curious, adventurous. So, it is time to connect to that by collecting what we have found on a walk, on the beach, such as seashells, rocks, flowers, whatever it is. It can be a way to reconnect with your inner child. It's a playful way of connecting yourself to the earth around you. So nature, children are very nature oriented. Naturally, of course, depending on what the what the parents or caretakers allowed is a different story. But natural children are very connected to nature, and it allows you to bring forth that innocence and that natural connection. Now, many times you think, oh, I do have a collection. It's usually a materialistic one, for example, books or memorabilia, magazines. Everyone has their own thing, right? So it is a form of collection. Now, it would make it more innocent if it was nature oriented rather than materialistic. So we can go away a little bit from that ego centered need. And it's more about finding beauty in your everyday life. Now, a very good practice would also be practicing visualization through meditation. It's a great way to connect with your inner child. Visualization helps us tap into our imagination and our senses. And when we first start out, guided visualizations can be most helpful. So you're not left to visualize on your own. So guided meditation is a great start. There are many guided meditations out there. So as we're now going through our Meditation May challenge, you will explore a little bit more about meditation, and perhaps you'll find something that suits you personally. So keep exploring, and then you will see what practice best suits you so that it's more comfortable to you. Of course, one more very basic but very necessary practice is journaling. The intention of journaling is to create a safe space for you, and in this case, it's your inner child, to come forth and to express yourself. That perhaps you don't feel right to express it to the world around you, and just open up and blurt out how you're truly feeling, and you know, all these wounds and pains you have inside. So it can be a great connection to express yourself and bring forth your reactions, your feelings, your shadow work, whatever it is, the good, the bad, onto paper. And then it will be great to look back to and reflect to, because you have it there, which is very different from everything being just a mumbo jumbo in your head. So continue that shadow work, as we mentioned yesterday. Ask the questions that you already have in your mind, put them down, and then allow yourself when your feelings to come forth, and then reflect back to it. Key here is to honor your inner child's perception. No judgment, no criticism. Also to honor your current situation, your current personality that has been formed through that inner child. So there is no essence of correcting or right or wrong. This is simply expressing. There is no good or bad. It's just doing. And finally, I'm going to mention just a few more steps that you can take in your everyday life to start dealing a little bit deeper into this inner child healing. So the first would be to identify what you really wish you had, and maybe needed more in your childhood. So go back to your workbook and you can reflect and write that down. So whether you had an ideal childhood or a very challenging one, it doesn't matter. There's always something that wasn't just right or just met, or I wish I had that. I wish I did that in my childhood. So this is where you will write it down. You will look back and you will pay attention to what that was, whatever it was, and allow this unconditional love and playful self of yours to come forth with protection and security and an essence of guidance for your inner child now as an adult. Then, similar to the practice we did yesterday for shadow work, another practice would be to sit with a specific emotion that comes up. Could be an emotion that just comes up in your day to day, every day. It could be that comes out once in a while, or you just actually really thought about it and it came up for the first time today. So it doesn't really matter when, where, how, or what. Just identify it and sit with it, and then start to work through it. Identifying childhood wounds does not have to involve blaming or shaming anyone, particularly our caretakers or our guardians. We need to make peace. This is where cutting the cord comes. So it's not an association, positive or negative, with someone. This is your personal experience. It's not because of them, or because of the situation at the time, or because of the environment. It really is because you had to go through it. And it will shape you and has shaped you into the person you are today, only to come to now to do the work that's necessary to shape you even more. So no blame, no guilt, no shame, no judgment. This is very important. So if you do have those emotions, and things like anger and resentment and grief and depression and frustration, confusion, regret, bitterness comes forth, sit with it, write it down, blurt it out, create it into an expressive creation if you want, whatever it is that is getting out of you. It's important to be gentle and kind to yourself when you're doing this recognition and association with your inner child and emotions, because it can take a toll on you and it needs time, and you need to handle it one at a time. So don't start bombarding yourself with all these angry emotions you had since because of the childhood you had. So just sit with one at a time. Of course, as I've always said, if you need more support, more guidance, then look into a healthcare professional, a counselor, a psychotherapist, psychiatrist, a spiritual guide, a coach, whatever it is that you need a little bit more help with. Because ultimately, when you are dealing with this great suffering, you are resurfacing the suffering the pain, the hurt, the wounds, the trauma, ultimately you will only reach at some point some form of peace and freedom and from the chains that have been pulling you down. Next step would be going back to what we had previously discussed about signs that we might recognize. So this is where we start to recognize and acknowledge any patterns that are still lingering from childhood. So such as self-sabotaging behavior, feelings, thoughts, and beliefs. Sometimes even the things that we don't like, we keep repeating and doing and reacting to, because it's a familiar space. So as I said before, if you have abandonment issues from childhood, you might sometimes choose certain relationships that are not ideal for you, both personal and professional, and there's a good chance that other people will not care for you as much as you are needed to. Or you might project your inner fears of abandonment to other people and literally shoving them away, and they don't deserve to be far away. Simple awareness of negative childhood patterns that are recreated in your adulthood, it is important to work through that and recognize those patterns and then start to break them. Start to create something healthier for you. So since we all, as I originally said, you're not alone, since we all have patterns from our childhood, it is important that when you discover one, you work on forgiving yourself. So forgiveness is extremely important. I cannot say how important it is to overcome all of this heaviness that you've been carrying. Another step, moving on, would be to give yourself today the things you wish others had given you in childhood. So what is it that you feel your childhood lacked? Is it finances? Is it security, stability? Is it love? Is it unconditional care? Have you ever felt that you were the invisible child in your home? Start to pay attention now to your own needs and desires. There's usually a pattern there. So cultivating relationships with people who really honor you and care for you and celebrate your uniqueness and special character, and basically make you feel privileged for interacting with them. So this will create a better and more earthly essence in your life, rather than sabotaging and doing the opposite. Basically, you are giving yourself what you didn't have. Invisible child, steady relationships. Relationships that you are cherished in, relationships that people care for you. So now you are healing that wound, and it will no longer be of such importance to you anymore. You will no longer feel a fear of abandonment or a loneliness. And the final thing I want to discuss is this essence of being a parent yourself, if you are, and finding a child in your life to truly understand what all of this means. It doesn't have to be your own child. You could be an aunt, you could be a guardian to someone, you could be a teacher. So you don't necessarily have to have your own offspring to understand a child's needs and how impactful childhood is. So this is where you would really pay attention and understand the patterns that can be formed in childhood. So if you do observe a child that has a very good life and you felt like you didn't and jealousy comes up, then that's okay. Work through that. And just try and see it from a pure perspective of love and kindness and care, and understand the innocence behind it. So just understand that ultimately all children need love and attention. Speaking and bringing forth certain words are very important, so we need to be very mindful with our words and the way we speak, our reactions and our behaviors that come forth in front of children. As Don Miguel Ruiz always says, be impeccable with your words. So it is very important what comes out of your mouth, especially in front of children. And allow the child that is in your life, the children, to feel cherished and important, and give them some of your time in whatever way that you wish to do it, that is very innocent. And it doesn't have to be extravagant, it doesn't have to be materialistic. It actually is very simple and effortless. If there are no children in your life and you don't have access to that, that's okay. You can always volunteer and spend some time with certain children um, in your community, wherever you're at. I know now it's difficult times, but you can do that virtually too. So you get to know some children in your life. It's important to surround your life with children because you can learn so much from them, not only about childhood and children, but more importantly about your own childhood and your inner child. So that's it for our 3 day inner child healing workshop. There's a lot to intake, there's a lot more to do. There is a lot of time to be given onto this specific topic, and I hope that you can take as much as you can from the information, from the practice, from the signs, whatever it is that resonates with you right now. Recap and come back. That's why this is for anytime, anywhere, because sometimes we're not ready to do something, and that's okay. Maybe when you come back in a couple of months or a couple of weeks, maybe you're ready then. So, again, no judgment, no right or wrong. Take your time through this. It's a work in progress of life. This is not something that you're just going to handle and tackle once. Things will keep coming up over time, and it's just a good resource to have, a great tools to have in your pocket whenever needed. So I hope you can take as much as you can from this, and thank you for joining me one more time. And utilize the workbook, take time to reflect, take time to journal, and dig deeper into all of this if you wish. If you have any questions, any queries, if you'd like some guidance, assistance, or if you'd like me to pinpoint you into certain things, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always here to support and guide and just be part of this wonderful community. So thank you once again, and may you find the deepest of connection with your inner child. Thank you.